Hello and welcome to another special edition of the Manchester United Muppeteers, a Daily Muppet edition, Takeover, special, whatever you'd want to call it. I wanted to record this video right away as this news has come out now, and just kind of explain it and talk through a few things. A long time ago on a video, and I think some people were angry that I didn't put the details of it out, but a long time ago on a video, I mentioned that there might be a preference, I think it was all the way back in October, from the Glazers for an American or some other buyer from Europe. And today I think you're seeing one of the reasons for that, okay? That has been, I'm not super surprised by this proposal. A lot of the recent briefs from the Glazers have been, specifically, of course, it's Joel and Avram. Let's separate it out. The four other Glazer siblings want nothing to do with the club. They'd sell today. They're not the ones arguing for $6 billion or these other prices or anything like that. They want to get out. Joel and Avram want to stay in the club, or they would prefer to, but they have not had a choice financially because they cannot support it and they're not willing to put any of their own money into it. However, they're not done leeching or profiting off of the club. They feel that it can be worth double in about 5-10 years, and they're probably not wrong about that. For a long time, they've hoped for a plan. A minority sale has never been viable because it would remain them in control and not handle the financial aspects. So that's why I've never felt that that was a possibility. But for a long time, they've been interested in a potential of a sale or some type of agreement as a part of a sale that results in them getting to profit off the future growing value of Manchester United, which they think is going to be very high. Now, how that structures itself, I'm not sure. I'd heard about the possibility. When I said a long time ago there was something that they want that might make fans angry, and that they would, why they might prefer a buyer from the West, essentially, is because exactly what we're seeing today. And I didn't know exactly how it would be structured, but the idea would be in some way that they would profit off the future of the club while also selling. And there's different ways that can be done. There's ways it can be done as a matter of gain of future profits, of future revenues, of an additional payout once the club reaches a certain valuation. This is another way. And so what is this? What is the proposal from Sir Jim Ratcliffe? The proposal from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, forget the Class A shares. These are a percentage of shares that are on the market that have very little voting power. You can go buy them today. The Glazers own basically 98%, 99% of the voting rights of Manchester United. Sir Jim's proposal would be to buy out the four siblings who don't want anything to do with the club and own about 70% of the voting rights as of now, maybe a little bit higher. You might even buy some of Joel and Avram's to get him to 80% and them to 20%. The point of this would be to take over the club, but get Joel and Avram to accept the deal, and they would maintain a percentage of ownership without having any say due to the nature of how United's corporate structure is. So let's talk about that. What does this actually mean? I understand people are going to be immediately very upset by this, very angry by this, and I'm not trying to go against that. I understand it. This is not ideal. It's not what I wanted. I'm surprised even that it was offered because I didn't think anybody would be willing to do it. It's not unusual either, unfortunately. What it means is people are going to argue with me about this. People are going to say I'm wrong about this. People are going to be upset about this and think that I'm saying it's the best thing, but I want to really have a full discussion about this, okay? What it means, in effect, is nothing. It's the same as a takeover. The way that United's corporate voting structure is set up, if you have majority control, you run the whole thing. Doesn't matter if somebody has 20%, doesn't matter. They cannot do anything with that 20%. The decisions that get made, the investments, everything that people have not liked about the Glazers doesn't matter in this instance. It means that in the effect of what actually happens at the club, it is the same as a takeover, okay? Understand that aspect of it. I'm really talking about literal logistics in operation of the actual running day-to-day of the club. It is the same as a takeover, as a full takeover. It is the same, okay? This is not a minority takeover. This is not a minority takeover. This is not the same thing as Elliott buying 20% and giving the Glazers money and them having a say and being able to run the club. This isn't that. Ed Woodward owns 1% of the voting rights at Manchester United right now, and nobody remembers it, okay? Because he has no say in the club. He just owns it. So I don't expect people to be happy about it, because what is it? What is actually going on is that it's the same thing as a takeover, but it leaves the Glazers with 20% of the club. Why? Because Joel and Avram think that their shares are going to be worth a lot more money in the future, okay? They're leeching off of it. Of course, that's what they're doing. We knew that they were going to do this. We knew they could do this, but in the actuality, it is the same as a takeover for the running of the club, for decisions made, for all of the things that happen, for appointments. It is all still the same as a takeover. So just bear with that for a minute. It does not mean the Glazers have any control over the club, the same as one of the Glazer siblings right now can't even sell if they wanted to cash out because of the way that things are set up, because it all has to be voted on, etc. If you have a controlling stake, if you have the controlling stake, I should say, you run the club. You own it, you run it, you can do whatever you want with it, okay? This is so hard to talk about, to get through, because it's obviously going to be something that everybody is very emotional about for understandable reasons, wanting the Glazers gone. And just understand, it does not mean the Glazers have control, okay, if this is what happens. And you have to compare the different scenarios. Scenario 1, the Glazers maintain full control, okay? Nothing happens. They reach the end of this process and nothing occurs. That's the worst possible scenario, okay? Scenario 2 is they take minority investment, repackage the debt to get stadium and things like that at better terms in return for selling some of the shares to, Elliott or somebody like that. That's probably the worst scenario. More debt, Glazers maintain control, more debt, more payments, all of that. Scenario 3 is this, that someone does a takeover, leaves the Glazers in control. Scenario 4 is the full takeover. Actually, scenario 5 is buying out the Class A shares on the market. In the effect of the running of the day-to-day club, every scenario in scenario 3 to 5 is the same. One person or one group has the controlling interest, makes all the decisions, runs the club. 1 and 2 are terrible. 3, the Glazers are still getting to profit off of the club in the future, specifically Joel and Avram. 4, they're not doing that and there's no difference. That was Sir Jim's original takeover idea. And 5 is what Qatar are offering, which is the full club. There's really no difference between 4 and 5 for anyone, but there's very little difference in the day-to-day running between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th scenario. And in terms of control, as long as it's not one of the first 2 scenarios, the Glazers will have no control over the club. And this is where I'm at on it, and my thoughts on it, and coming from a place of maybe confronting a little bit of reality when you're dealing with people like the Glazers. I've said for a long time I expect the club would be fully sold, but the Glazers make frustrating, difficult decisions time and time again, over and over and over, and you can never predict what they're going to do. Except you can predict this. They're going to do what gets them the most money. And here's the problem. They're not smart. They make stupid decisions. So while I can sit here and say I believe that a takeover is going to occur, and most people think it will, and the buyers are saying, yeah, we're confident we're going to get the club, we're going to buy it. The line from Joel and Avram has been, we think we could make, if they own their 25% between the two of them now, then, out of that $6 billion, even if they got $6 billion, right? Just think with this for a minute. They were due to get like $1 billion out of that sale. with their shares, if they think that the club's going to be worth $10 billion in 5 years, they're not going to sell no matter what. They'll just keep holding on, especially with the club having some success, with some of the, they got some decent money in this year. They're actually probably going to be profitable because of the all the matches at Old Trafford, with the cup runs in Wembley, and everything, the deep runs that United have made and all those home matches. The Glazers make stupid decisions, and they think there is a degree of thought there that Joel and Avram have been arguing with against the other 4 Glazer siblings, that they could potentially stay in control and cash out for a lot more money in the future. I don't think they're right, because if they stay in control, the club is doomed. But they think so. And because they think so, they're liable to make a lot of stupid decisions. And they're liable to even potentially just outright not sell the club. That's why I think they've been asking for $6 billion. Now, I still think if they didn't have another choice, they would just sell. But I think they might drag it. We've seen with another round. This summer is in trouble, okay? This summer right now is in trouble. This was supposed to be done by April. Ten Hag is pissed. I've spoken to people around and involved with the club. They can't do anything that they need to do right now in the club. And it's becoming so bad, and you know what? The Glazers don't care at all. And so my perspective on it is, if it gets control of the club away from the Glazers and takes them out of it, then I'm for it, okay? Is it the best thing? No. Is it what I want? No. Would I still hope that there would be a takeover? Yes. Is it better than the Glazers staying in control and dragging this out another year? Ask yourself that. For just a second, just ask yourself that and try to think with it. Yes. Would I say still protest? Would I say still go and say we want the Glazers out? We want that 20% sold? We want it gone? Yes. Do I think that over the ensuing years, Jim Ratcliffe would likely start to buy out the rest of those shares? Yes, I do think he would as well. The same way that Kroenke did at Arsenal, by the way. It's a win. It would allow the club to move forward without the Glazers' ownership. It would allow investment to happen in the stadium. It would allow the debt to be paid off. It would allow for the money and the finances that United need to move forward. But it does allow the Glazers to continue to leech off of the club. Okay? And so emotionally, it's frustrating. Emotionally, it sucks because you don't want the Glazers to have anything to do with it. But if it is the only way to get them out, then I'm for it. Okay? Then I am 100% for it if it's the only way to get them out. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about the situation. I know people are going to have a varying degree of thoughts. To me, my hierarchy of priority is number one, no Glazer control, because I've seen the damage that they do on a daily basis running a club, and that is more important than anything else. It's no Glazer control, and then quite a bit lower, it's having no involvement, because they could just go buy up a bunch of shares anyway, and no one could do anything about it. It would be different, of course, but they could. It's there. It's a much higher priority to me that they are not in control and someone else is running the club and we get what we need from Manchester United. Really complicated. The whole thing is tricky. And my thought overall on it, and why I'm not surprised with it, is that, we're dealing with billionaires and we're dealing with messy business. These are not the most ethical people, the Glazers. And when you're dealing with people like this, a lot of times you cannot do anything but make concessions. There's a lot of times a saying in big business, and I don't agree with it. As a person who runs a small business and works in small business, I don't actually agree with this, but it happens all the time in big business. In small business, I try to make deals with people where both sides are happy. In big business, often deals get made where both sides are unhappy at the end of it, and I think that's what we're looking at right now. And part of that is because it's just the nature of dealing with greedy people. Okay? Anyway. That's my thoughts on it. That's what I think. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different thoughts, and we'll see what happens. Of course, in the additional, or as an aside to all of that, there's still Qatar. Will they offer the same thing? No, I don't think so. They need to and want to own the full club. I think that was confirmed in that article. They intend to take it off the stock market and all of that. They're never going to buy something that other people have have the line into and own part of. They're not going to. Okay, so they're not going to offer the same thing. But that means it's up to them to make a better offer to the Glazers. If they don't, and they're not going to meet that $6 billion price, then there really wasn't another choice except this for the club to be sold. It's in their hands now, because I would say this makes Sir Jim Ratcliffe the favorite. He knew. I think they've all been worried that they're not going to be able to get a sale if they don't pay a price that to none of them seems fair, and to none of them that they were willing to. I think they've been worried about it. And I think that it's in the hands of Qatar now. If they were as serious as they said, then they should be able to make an offer to still do the full takeover. But understand that if Jim Ratcliffe's offer gets accepted, it's probably the only thing that could have happened, if you understand what I mean by that. If Jim Ratcliffe's offer gets accepted, it's the only offer that was acceptable. And it's likely that if it if Qatar get accepted, it's because they're making a better offer. Okay? If Jim's gets accepted, then Qatar did not make an offer that the Glazers would have accepted, and they would have dragged things out and not sold the club. That's the point I'm trying to make. So if it happens to be what Jim Ratcliffe proposes, then it is the best outcome possible in terms of dealing with the Glazers. Okay, but it's up to Qatar now. They could make a bigger offer. They could make an offer that could beat it. They could. We'll see if they do, and we're going to find out very soon now. But this is a huge, huge thing in all of this, and my head's spinning a bit. I'm going to call from people and talk to them and find out about this a bit. But they've been working on it. I'm not super surprised, and I'm not super surprised that it might take a concession like this to actually get the club out of Glazers' hands in terms of control finally, even if it's something that leaves both sides unhappy at the end of the day. Okay? Let's see what comes out in the next few days. I'll start talking to people, but I'm not totally surprised by this. It was somewhat expected that there would be. Months and months ago, I said something that could make fans angry, and I didn't know how it would happen or how it would be structured or if it would still happen, and then and now we're starting to see it. So, anyway, I hope that was a fairly balanced and reasonable take on the whole thing. I'm not trying to write off people's concerns in the slightest. I'm trying to think it all through, okay? So, and give some perspective on the whole thing. All right, thanks for watching. Leave me your thoughts below. Try not to be too angry with me about it. I'm on your side. I'm on the side of everybody. I want the same things for the club as everybody else, okay? Yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one.